everybody, it's Mike from Iron Beak Forge. We're back here on day 2 of our build, and last night I made some decisions. I really would like this channel to be focused more on pattern development and the making of Damascus than on having another channel that makes knives. We're gonna still make knives, I just might not show you every step in the process. You may just see the steel build and then a final product of what it will look like with that steel on a knife. I don't really think there's a lot of other channels that really just focus on building steel. And so that's what I would like this channel to be. So thanks for bearing along with us as we make some changes. Right now, we're on day 2. We're gonna get this stack back into the fire. We've ground it, we've welded a stick. We're on stack number 2 of stack 3. So let's get that in the flames right now. Don't touch hot steel with your bare hands, it's a bad idea. I just burned my arm hair from like 3 feet away. That's how hot that is right now. A little late on the fluxing. It's snowing. One of the things we're gonna have to do, because we've been squishing it down, it's gonna wanna spread out. We're gonna have to tighten the sides up. I wanna let these welds age a little bit though, so we're gonna let this run probably a 10 or 15 minute soak session again before we touch it. And then we're gonna tap it again the way we've been squishing it, and then we're gonna flip it on its side, true it up, and also make sure it gets a little bit longer for us to cut. And then we're gonna be really close to cooling for a cut and a restack, which we'll figure out how to do in the rain. All right, decision time. So we're low enough on gas. I probably should cut this forge off so that we can it'll stay hot enough we can get back to hot within another half hour. Basically, by the time I start cutting that, it'll be time to turn the forge back on. But I think it's gonna take it almost an hour to dry. I really wasn't expecting rain today. All right, this thing's ready to go. We're gonna cut the ends off of it. We're gonna surface grind the top and the bottom, cut it in half, restack it, throw it back in the forge, weld it up one more time, and then we're gonna start taking slices off to roll it out into blade steel. This could take a while. All right, guys, we're going back to our trusty Cubitron 3 and 36 grit. This is the same one we've been using the whole time. It did get a little glazed up, so we're gonna sharpen it again, no problem. It's still got a ton of life left in it. So we're gonna use it for these hard tasks, because that's they're made for, and we'll run it from there. We're just gonna flatten out, because it's a little bit domed. When I last pressed it, I pressed it on the side, it domed out the top a little bit, and I really need the top and the bottom to be flat. So unfortunately, because I didn't think to do it back there, gotta grind it flat here. Guys, this belt's still fine for surface grinding, but I have enough material to hog off here that I'm gonna just throw a fresh 36 grit on it, and we're gonna just run with it. Because rather than sit here on this belt that's been used a lot, it'll get there eventually, but it's getting hot. It's gonna take time. I'm gonna just throw a new one on. It's still good for other tasks though, so we're gonna save it. Again, a big thanks to 3M and to Taylor Tools for sponsoring so many of these belts and tools. It definitely helps around the shop, and very much appreciate them. They put out a top quality product. All right, we've got our block. We've got it pretty well flat on the mating surfaces. So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut it in half so that we can then etch it up and restack it. We did lose a little bit of the pattern grinding it flat. That's my fault for not forging it perfectly square. It can happen. So we're gonna just run with it and see what happens. But it's looking great. We'll cut it in half and get it in the forge again. Double check. 1 3/8. We'll cut this side of the line. We'll be good. All right. All right, so now we just got to weld it up. One final stack. We're going to compress this down to about half, so it's the size of this bar again, roughly. And then we'll start cutting it in half and things like that to make blades out of it. So as much as I would like to do it this way, the better forging option is this way because of the cut is not perfectly even. It's not perfectly even because when I forged it, it was round on top and bottom, and so it didn't sit perfectly in the saw. So that was a mistake. So to compensate for that mistake, rather than picking the best pattern option, I'm going to choose the best matchup for the steel in the middle to give us the best shot at making a successful billet. So we're over what we should be right now. Technically, we should be no more than 3-to-1 base to height. We're at 2 inches wide. I think we're just over 6 inches long. So we're really pushing like the stability of what the steel can do without like caving in the middle. So I'm hoping we don't run into any problems. We may, and if we do, we'll fix them as we go. One of the easy ways to fix a problem like that is to just let it split, clean the weld back again in the middle, continue to forge it down thinner because it'll widen both your bases out. And then you can just clean it, cut it, restack it, and give it another try. So essentially you're resetting the ratio. All right. No flux on this one because we've welded up the seam to try and keep the air completely out of it. So we've welded the entire seam, so we won't need any flux. There's nowhere for flux to get in. All right guys, so we've finished forging this out. It is pretty much ready to go. However, we're learning from our mistakes, and rather than have this big bow here, because I don't want to cut off that material, I just really want to grind the welds off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these hammer tongs, I'm going to throw it back in the forge, and I'm going to basically shape it into a pretty tight rectangle without all the rounded parts from forging. So we're going to throw it back in and just touch it up, and then we'll start slicing it and figure out which way we need to cut it for billet steel. We'll slice it and then start rolling it out. Cool, let's hit the saw. We're at 3.5 for all intents and purposes. I think I'm gonna do this as a hidden tang, so I wanna be at 9, so I need to go 3 times as thick as a kitchen knife. So what's plus 3 times plus 20 thousandths? So I need, let's call it point. We're gonna just go 0.150 times 3 because that'll get us back down to 110 or 120 very easily. So we need 1/2 inch of this, should get us where we want. We're gonna go a little thicker than that just to make sure. Let's see if we can figure this out. This might take a minute. All right, that's what I was afraid of. We don't have anything to clamp. Welding. What we're doing is, my saw will not clamp to this piece of steel because we don't have it long enough to clamp into the clamp, essentially. So what we're doing is we're welding on this plate steel. We're going to clamp to the plate steel so that we can then have this stick out far enough to cut under the kerf of the saw. Actually, we're going to be limited on how thin we can go, not how thick we can go. That's probably actually really close to perfect anyway, so we're going to cut that. I already tell you that's a problem. So we have a little nick in our weld here. We're going to cut that out now because otherwise when we stretch it out, we're going to just straight up split that and it'll ruin the whole weld. It'll propagate a crack from there all the way across. So rather than do that, we're going to just cut it out now. It's mostly in the weld and it's in the black, so it's not going to really even affect our pattern very much. So we're going to just go ahead and take care of it right this second. Easy fix. That 3M abrasive makes quick work of that. Might as well take care of the other side while we're at it. So as you can see, we didn't really remove much of the pattern. We cut in just a little bit on the sides, a little bit more on this side where the most of that crack was. Those act like stress risers, and if you're gonna get a problem somewhere, 99.9% of the time it's gonna come from a little piece of weld where your pieces weren't perfectly aligned right on the side. So it's just best to nip those off right at the beginning. But you know, we're always going to be better off to do that than to just continue, allow that crack to propagate all the way through the middle of the piece. You just want to watch as you go, and if they start to open up, stop what you're doing. Grind them out. You're always going to be better off to do that, otherwise you're going to just completely ruin the piece and have wasted all that time. All right, so we have this welded up. You can kind of see the pattern here very lightly from the 20-second etch we did. We're gonna just go ahead and pop this into the forge. As soon as it's up to heat, we're gonna roll it out. We only really need to get 3 or 4 times as long as it is, so it really shouldn't take very long. And it's already the width that we need. So all we're gonna focus on is length at this point. And then we'll be ready to cut a knife out of it. Hot enough. Let's run it. All right, it looks like we're holding together. We just needed a gas change so we could get it hot enough. We'll let it soak again, and then we'll go again. I knew we needed more heat because we needed to be up near like welding temps. There's just so much stress on those welds. If you're too cold, you're gonna rip them. So you wanna be hot enough. We needed to just change the tank. Now we're good. We'll let it get a little hotter still. We're still kind of like in the lower range than what I'd like to be. So we're gonna try and get it up all the way to welding temp. We're not quite there. So we'll get there and then should go fairly smoothly from there. I didn't see any cracks there, but we'll just vigilantly watch for them, grind them out as they come, if they come, and then eventually, it seems like you hit a certain point and you're past it. So hopefully we'll get past it pretty quick and have some badass steel. Sometimes it's hard to tell what's the forge scale cracking off and if there's actually a crack in the steel that's trying to propagate inward. So you got to look at it close. If you need to, just stop, brush your forge scale off, take a good close look. There's no reason at this stage to be in a rush when you just spent 6 to 10 hours forging the steel. Take the extra 30 seconds to make sure you're not propagating a crack and ruining your piece. It's worth the extra time to slow down. One more. The weld's a problem. I'm gonna take care of the weld real quick. That's what I'm missing. B-roll. Yeah, just about 100 thousandths. This actually would be a good time to do the press thing. Clean enough. One more heat, maybe two, and we're there. So you can see the pattern.
Sweet. It.
All right, so the good news is we're done. The bad news is I slightly miscalculated on the thickness that we needed. We're a little bit longer than I wanted to be. And what that's gonna mean is instead of stretching those tiles back out to 1 inch, we're probably just like 1.25 inches. I'm hoping it didn't mess with the pattern too much, but you can't roll things out longer and not affect the pattern in some way. So we'll see what that looks like when we get it ground here in a few minutes. I can tell looking at the pattern through the forge scale, it's still gonna look great. So I'm pretty excited about it, but we'll see in a minute when we acid etch. 2.5 inches shorter. So that means that we're gonna be 3 divided by 12. Yeah, we're gonna be roughly 1/4 bigger on each tile than I wanted to be, but it should be fine. They were a little thicker than I wanted to be, but I didn't want to stretch it anymore. And if we just take 20 thousandths off instead of 10 thousandths off, we'll still be at 120, which is just 10 thousandths thicker than we were on the last one. But it's not uncommon to see knives in the 150 range, and right now we're at 170. So we'll take off at least 10 thousandths off each side. We'll get at least down to 150, but probably we'll take it down to 130. We won't lose anything in pattern to go thinner because it's the same pattern on both sides. So there's no drawback on steel like this to going thinner other than you wasted steel on the floor that you could have had in another billet. But, conversely, maybe we don't make a kitchen knife out of this. Maybe we make something with a thicker profile. We'll see. we've still got a couple little things to get off of here, but for now, this is plenty to see the pattern, and that's what I'm after at the moment. I'll clean the rest of this up later when I go to bevel whatever I'm making. I'm not gonna do the other side right now. I really just wanna see the pattern, and we'll go from there. What we're hoping to see here is a slightly expanded version of our compacted pattern. What we're hoping is that we maintained the same basic shapes, and we just have blown it up in a proportion slightly. I'm not sure that that's what happens, because sometimes the rolling mill will push a little bit when you're only going in one direction. If I had a second person here helping me, we would feed it through one way, take it out, crank it through the other way, taking each off each time to keep it proportional and in the same direction, but we didn't, so we get what we get. Yeah, I'm pretty thrilled with that. That's exactly what we were looking for most of it. You can tell where in the billet we had the parts that were correct, and then down here where they were almost correct. But overall, that's gonna make a really cool pattern for a blade. I'm gonna be very, very pleased with that. All these all these grays will come in black once we have it polished up. All the bright spots will be very bright with a coffee etch. So we should have very good contrast on this Mosaic piece. I was looking for S's, and man, if those don't look like S's or Z's, I don't know what does. A little less so down here in the middle, but again, that's okay. We knew that was gonna happen. Some of you are going to notice, because it's YouTube, that there are mistakes in this knife, right? We've got a couple deep scratches we didn't quite get out. I'm testing new belts, testing new processes. It's all part of it. Sometimes with the etch, things can be a little bit uneven. In this case, they are a little uneven. I don't want this channel to be specifically about the process of making knives. I want this channel to be specifically about the process of making steel to make knives, and the process of developing patterns for pattern welding, or Damascus, or whatever you want to call it. So feel free to comment on my mistakes. I can own them. Look, I'm only 2 years into this. I'm definitely not a master smith. I'm not even a journeyman smith. I'm an apprentice. And so I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly refining my processes. And I hope that you are too. And so I hope that you're kind to me in the comments. But if not, thank you so much anyway, because it helps with the algorithm. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the show.